history this morning at Cape Canaveral, where Space Shuttle Atlantis and its four-person crew touched down just before 6 a.m. Eastern, bringing to an end NASA's 30-year shuttle program, and with it a singular chapter of American history.
And NASA is facing a fair amount of criticism for shutting down the Space Shuttle program without having anything yet to replace it. Joining us this morning, one of those critics, former NASA Administrator Mike Griffin. Good to have you with us this morning.
Erica, good to be here. Thank you.
This is a tough thing for you to launch because you've said all along there's no reason we should end the shuttle program without this backup in place.
Well, we have a $75 billion space station that needs periodic support, crew rotation, supplies, experiments up and down. And ending the shuttle program with nothing to come afterward, I think is bad policy. I don't think we can blame NASA, though. NASA takes its direction from the administration.
So a lot of politicking here, and that's what I've heard from a lot of folks and a lot of former astronauts and astronauts I've been speaking with over the last few weeks. When you look at, though, what will happen, because the shuttle program is ending no matter what. So this is what we have now. The plan, of course, is to send astronauts up on the Soyuz, up to the International Space Station. Do you have any concern about what happens if there's a problem there?
Well, sure. The Soyuz is a great system. Our Russian partners have built a system that has stood the test of time. But it has had failures, just as our own space shuttle has had failures. And the next failure leaves us with absolutely no access to the space station and no human access to space for the foreseeable future.
Hoverboard. Where is he? Here. There! He's on a hoverboard!
But Edgar Fouché's credentials as an Air Force avionics specialist do qualify him with the exact sort of background to have been assigned to Area 51.
I was there to repair and do a couple of modifications. And I went up every day at 4:30 in the morning before sunlight, came back every night after dark, and did this for 10 days straight. The thing that bothered me the most about Groom was not somebody walking around with an M16 glaring at me when I was trying to work at times, but having to wear the goggles that looked like the black welder's goggles, that the sides are blocked off so you have no peripheral vision. And at about 30 feet, everything becomes blurred. And at 50 feet, if somebody was pointing a gun at me, I wouldn't have seen them. So, but anytime you're outside, or I was outside of my facility, I had to wear them because they didn't want me seeing anything, say, in the next building over, or aircraft that were sitting on the flight line.
There are rumors that the Aurora project is responsible for many UFO sightings in the vicinity of Area 51. Ball-shaped craft and strange hovering lights. There are those who believe that Aurora has produced a revolutionary breakthrough in advanced technology. Edgar Fouché thinks he knows what it is.
To me, the most fascinating vehicle from the Aurora program has been the TR-3B. It's a triangular-shaped vehicle that uses a circular accelerator, as you imagine a circle within a triangle, that rotates a mercury-based plasma at 60,000 revolutions per minute, pressurized at 250,000 atmospheres, and supercooled to 150 degrees Kelvin. I absolutely believe that all the triangular-shaped vehicles that have been spotted belong to the U.S. government. The only thing that could outmaneuver a TR-3B would be the things we copied it from, which would be alien vehicles.
Edgar Fouché can produce no proof that he has ever had any connection with Area 51. And the notion that Area 51 is in possession of recovered alien technology and reverse engineering it into exotic new propulsion systems and craft is widely held by those who believe in UFOs, as does Edgar Fouché. And there is no evidence that his TR-3B aircraft exists. Except that in recent years, unidentified triangular craft with a pulsating light in the center have been seen in various locations around the world.
You have my word, whatever it's worth, that I trust my friends. I believe what I've seen, what they've seen and told me. And I believe this technology exists. I'm absolutely convinced.
Here's your list of charges. You hacked into the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Department of Defense, and NASA, amongst other things. Why?
I was in search of suppressed technology, you know, laughingly referred to as UFO technology. I think it's the biggest kept secret in the world because of its comic value. But it's a very important thing. We've got old age pensioners can't pay their fuel bills. We've got countries being invaded to get award oil contracts to the West. And meanwhile, secretive parts of the secret government are sitting on suppressed technology for free energy.
So how did you go about trying to find the stuff that you were looking for in NASA, in the Department of Defense?
Well, I assumed that although it's part of a secret government project, there must be military ties. I'd read 400 expert witness testimonies, ranging from civilian air traffic controllers through military radar operators, all the way up to guys that were in charge of whether or not to launch nuclear missiles. So it's a very credible people. All of these people had said that there are UFOs, they are alien. We're using anti-gravity and reverse engineered technology that came from captured UFO craft.
We're using anti-gravity?
Yeah.
Right now? Who's using anti-gravity?
Secret compartmented parts of the government, and I think we're being trickle-fed by the various defence contractors, so that I predict within the next 7 years we will have anti-gravity as a publicly usable phenomena.
Bring his over here so we can do the same thing and give him 4,500.
Well, we're here at Planet Honda on Route 22 West in Union, New Jersey, and the Cash for Clunkers program has been a tremendous success for us.
This is the label I have to install on the vehicle's engine after it has been disabled.
Like with this Cash for Clunkers deal, now there's a lot of cars coming in, which means these cars are going to be shredded. The cars come in, we process them by taking all the fluids out of the cars, mercury switches, and then the whole entire car, engine, all parts on the car will go into the shredder and be shredded. The car goes in the shredder, and just like how a paper shredder works, the car goes in, gets spit out the other side. So that's what's left of your clunker. But it's not the end of the line for these cars. The shredded steel will be shipped to steel mills all around the world, where it will be reproduced into new cars once again, back on the road.
This question is based on a video I was sent a little while ago, and I watched it a little while ago, but for some reason the question just occurred to me this morning. All those cars that were junked for the Cash for Clunkers program, where did all that steel go? Our government should be able to provide us with that information, because I remember them purposely destroying the engines of these cars even though some of them were still in working order. Why would they do that? The reason I asked this question is because I believe it was put forward to me that all that steel was sent to China as some sort of payment or something, and that's why our government was so gung-ho about doing the program in the first place. And that should be a very easily dispelled rumor, if it is a rumor and not true. So where did all the steel go? Did it just go to junkyards, or was it shipped out of the country?
Suppose an alien spacecraft had crashed in the desert, and we had recovered it. Our job is to discover how it works. With the help of leading physicists, astronomers and engineers, we'll decipher UFO technology. Inertia cancellers, anti-gravity devices, and wormhole excavators. And during that process, we may even discover the secrets of the universe through alien engineering. You are about to participate in an imaginative exercise. Prepare yourself. This is an alien spaceship that crashed in the desert some years ago. We've been given the task of decoding the technology and working out how it runs. We've assembled a team of some of the smartest and most imaginative researchers, physicists, engineers, and astronomers as advisors. Step by step, our experts will take us on a technical tour of this ship, from its controls to its aerodynamics to its propulsion. We'll learn how it travels through space and how it maneuvers in the air. The task won't be easy, but it will be rewarding. Alien technology is centuries, millennia ahead of ours.
When speaking about flying saucers and UFOs, people are going to laugh behind your back, and there goes your career. My attitude is we have to have an open mind. Open your mind to the possibility that a civilization could exist that is 1,000,000 years ahead of us.
When we talk about a secret space program, as I've said before, why wouldn't there be a secret space program? Why wouldn't there be? We have a lot of people here. We're afraid of certain things, and the people with power are afraid of something else. The people with power are afraid this planet may become uninhabitable soon. They're afraid there may be wars over water. There may be wars over clean air. Whether or not you believe in global warming, whether or not you believe it was created by humans or not the issue. The people in charge, they won't tell you this, but they do believe in global warming. They do believe that the planet is gradually becoming less and less inhabitable. So there would be a secret space program. There would be a program to get as many of their people off planet as possible. Why not? Why wouldn't there be? That's a pretty good investment, I think, of time, resources, money, technology, whatever. We know that individual entrepreneurs are developing their own space shuttles, charging a few $1 million for a seat. That should tell you something, what it's going to cost us to get off this planet, if we had to, for any particular reason. You know, so are there people willing to say, we're building our own rocket ships, like in a Ray Bradbury story, you know? We're going to have our own rocket ships, we're going to leave, you know, and all you guys are going to have to stay behind and deal with whatever it is, whatever mess we've created. So yes, these secrets will exist. They have to. I mean, the people in charge are not stupid. You know, we may think they're stupid. We laugh at our politicians in every country. But they're not all that stupid. Some of them are. You know, some of them are reptiles, you know, to use a David Icke expression.
Well, we had a lot of technology that we took from the Germans at the end of the war that people didn't realize existed. Sorts of alternate forms of energy, for instance, alternate forms of aircraft, of aviation technology, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of that already existed with them. Based on that, and with the possibility that there has been contact, ET-type contact, if we put those two things together, we have a tremendous engine of technological development of which we may not be aware in general terms. You know, another Manhattan Project taking place right now under our noses that we're not aware of. No, I haven't myself seen a UFO or anything of that nature, but my research into the field indicates to me that very many people in the American military establishment went on the record on ETs in a positive way, saying they did exist, and we were frightened. We thought there was something. We still think there's something. From the lowliest enlisted men up to general staff, people with general rank and colonels and majors, all coming forward and going on the record and saying, yes, there is something. So I have to kind of believe that. If I don't believe my own eyes, because I haven't seen anything like that, I kind of have to believe that there is something going on. So my mind is open to that potentiality. Sightings of aliens and that sort of thing? Don't know. I really can't judge. You know, a lot of very reasonable people have come forward with this kind of insistence that they've had these experiences. I have no reason to doubt them. Some of these people are very good witnesses. They were impeccable witnesses. So either they're mistaken, and if they're mistaken, it means that there's something very strange going on, where a reasonable person comes away thinking they've met an alien or been abducted by an alien, a law enforcement officer, a military man, scared out of his wits for something like that. It happened for a reason. So was it a setup? Was it a government or a military program? If so, we have to be very afraid. If it was not, we still have to be very afraid. There's still something going on that we should really pay close attention to.
Now, technologies that I think that are available to this clandestine world, I think they're quite substantial. Keep in mind, in the official history of our world, organizations within like the NSA and other U.S. military have been vastly far ahead of the rest of the world in computing technology for years. I had a conversation with an NSA scientist who said back in the mid-60s their computers ran at a clock speed of about 650 megahertz. Now that's not fast today, but that wasn't reached by the rest of the world till around the year 2000, so about 35 years. And that's something as basic as NSA computing technology, but what if you've got a lead in studying something even more exotic than what they might have? Maybe acquired ET tech, which I think is very likely. Well, in that case, the sky's the limit. And you know, they might have made certain breakthroughs in understanding things that might make them some money, new developments in integrated circuits and the like. But if they make a breakthrough that goes beyond that, they might not be able to share, whether in revolutionary energy, for example. If that's the case, this is not something that would be shared with the world, but it is something that they would continue to exploit. That would give them power beyond imagining, capabilities beyond imagining, the ability literally to go off this planet if they wanted to.
Do you think there's a primary, motivation for them for doing this? If there's like the one thing, the reason why they would do this, what would that be?
My suspicion is that one of the primary reasons is that they're scrambling to try to deal with the presence of these other beings that are observing us, that are probably very actively fascinated by us and engaged in dealing with us. It could very well be that we are quarantined on this world. When you look at the history of the Apollo missions and all of the subsequent non-exploration of space, really, it makes one wonder. There's certainly no shortage of leaks that have come from that world that deal with, that describe bases supposedly on the far side of the moon. Some of these from very credible individuals. Well, what if that's the case? So that there would be a presence of very advanced others that are here, that our clandestine world might feel that they have to try to deal with in some way. And so part of it could be a secret Cold War. That could be part of it. The other part of it would simply be, as every war has winners and losers, they would want to be financial winners. So they would want to use and exploit the technology for the benefit within this civilization, that they would continue to run things the way they want to run them.
Disclosure, that idea, do you think we'll ever get to that point? Official from government?
Absolutely, I do. They'll have to be dragged kicking and screaming to do it. They're never going to do it voluntarily. There's nothing to gain from their point of view, but they're going to have to. And the reason is just because of us right now. You're doing an interview with me with technology that even 10 years ago really was not practical. We as a society are the great dynamic. We're the great change agent in this equation. Not these other beings and not the secret keepers, but us. And we're developing capabilities that are going to force this issue. That's the thing. And I don't know if it'll be next year, I don't know if it'll be 10 years from now, maybe 20, but I don't think more than that, in which something's going to happen that's going to force this issue. And when that happens, that's when the whole battle begins, doesn't end. See, disclosure is not the end of anything. It's the beginning of everything. It's the beginning of the real fight for truth. Because it's very likely that when we get an acknowledgement that this is real, we may not get a lot more. We may not get, a little gray alien being alongside the president of the U.S. at some podium. That may not happen. And so if it doesn't, there's going to be argument, debate, very, very intense debate over what we're dealing with. Political parties are going to be transformed. It's going to be a raucous melee that will probably take generations for us to settle everything out and decide what we're actually.
We've been experiencing unexplained malfunctions.
Look at this. Flag's gone. Tracks. They aren't ours. They lead away from our site.
Well, December 14th, 1972, the last time a human stepped foot on the moon. Or was it? The government would have us believe that Apollo 17 was the last manned mission to the moon, but as we all know, the government doesn't always give us the whole truth. If you take NASA at its word, Apollo 18 was cut for budget reasons, but not according to a new film entitled Apollo 18, which claims the mission did happen and with rather disastrous consequences. For more on these claims, we bring in famed nuclear physicist and UFO researcher Stanton Friedman. Dr. Friedman, what is the... Mr. Friedman, sorry. What is the logic behind the Apollo 18 film?
Well, the idea is that it is conceivable that secret missions were planned by NASA and carried out and turned up with some extraordinary evidence of strange things going on the moon. The moon's supposed to have no life, no activity, just what we do up there. And there's always been a question. The 18 and 19 were built and paid for. The crews were selected. And the excuse was, well, it would cost too much money. But the money had been spent. So there's always been this puzzle. What really did happen? And some people can't believe governments can keep secrets. I worked under security for 14
This is a video of something that I discovered on Google Mars, quite by accident. I call it Biostation Alpha because, well, I'm just assuming that something's living in it, or has lived in it, or is going to be living in it. It's very unusual in that it's quite large. It's over 700 feet long and 150 feet wide. It looks like it's a cylinder, or made up of cylinders, cylinder shapes. It could be a power station, or it could be a biological containment, or it could be a glorified garage. Hope it's not a weapon. Whoever put it up there had a purpose, I'm sure. I couldn't imagine what the purpose was. I couldn't imagine why anybody would want to live on Mars. Could be just a way station, just a place for weary space travelers. They don't have to come to Earth. It could also belong to NASA. I don't know that they would admit that, or that they could pull off such a project without people seeing all the material going up there. I sort of doubt NASA has anything to do with this. I don't even know if NASA knows about this. It would be very interesting to get a higher resolution image of this region and see if you could find it there. I don't know if that's available. I've looked on the internet and I can't really find any high resolution images of this region. Appears fairly well maintained. Clearly it's not.
Well, Buzz and I have disagreed on a lot of things, and it's certainly that one. Although Buzz does want to go back to Mars, and I support that, but I believe we should do it in a logical stepping stone process.
We should go boldly where man has not gone before. Fly by the comets, visit asteroids, visit the moon of Mars. There's a monolith there, a very unusual structure on this little potato-shaped object that goes around Mars once in 7 hours. When people find out about that, they're going to say, who put that there? Who put that there?
Now, a dear friend of mine was named Ben R. Rich. He replaced Kelly Johnson at the Lockheed Skunk Works. And about 10 days before he died, I was speaking to Ben, but he told me, he said, Jim, we have things out in the desert that are 50 years beyond what you can comprehend. They have about 4,500 people at the Lockheed Skunk Works. What have they been doing for the last 20 some odd years?